Greetings everyone, welcome back to Taoist Magick. I hope you enjoyed my previous video in the series on cursing and hexing using shadow magic, indeed a very controversial subject. You've probably read the title to this video and you are thinking, my god, we always knew Lord Josh was pretty crazy, but now he has lost it. Walking through walls? Now remember, the old Taoist rule I keep repeating, never take anything at face value, especially with ancient magic. Although you may be surprised to know this, walking through walls is a real technique that has been used in China for centuries amongst highly skilled magicians. If you recall, a while ago I made a detailed video on the legendary Taoist Zhuo Se and his many arcane skills. One of those skills is walking through solid walls. The problem with this spell is not the complexity of it, nor the difficulty in performing it, but the overwhelmingly tricky nature of accepting that it's real and above all possible. Whenever you encounter such an outrageous spell, the hardest part is overcoming your own programming of reality. We are conditioned from birth to believe that the world is entirely solid, that it cannot be manipulated because this goes against the laws of the universe. Whilst there are many laws that govern our existence, there are also many hidden laws that secretly exist behind the veil, shadow corridors and spiritual shortcuts that can be used in a variety of ways for different practices. One such law that exists is usually buried underneath the lie that all matter is solid, when matter is just energy that is vibrating at a slower resonance than we are. The secret with walking through walls, it's based upon raising one's vibrational resonance to incredibly high levels, to the point where the molecules of the body fuse with the molecules of the wall. Some sorcerers will spend decades trying to perfect this particular skill. Exceptional levels of strict concentration are required in order to get this technique to work. And I myself have not yet achieved such a goal. I also don't know of any living Taoist who has claimed to be able to do it. But I do know of Zhuo Se's story in Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and I believe it is possible. The trick is not to simply fuse and intermix molecules, but to find a sweet spot where there is an empty space between the molecules of the wall and the molecules of the body. This neutral zone acts as a bridge. It's an empty canvas with the potential to be exploited, and it's up to the magician to locate this empty area and take advantage of it. It's within this limbo-like zone where all Taoist magic, not just this spell, originates. The space between space. The human body does generate vibrational energy, known as infrasonic vibrations. This is a scientifically supported fact. Different organs resonate at different speeds. On average, the heart generates 1 Hz and the brain about 10 Hz. When the heart beats, when you breathe, when blood circulates, this creates varying frequencies. Despite this fact, all of these frequencies are extremely low, very, very low. They are nowhere near the level needed for proper magic to be effective. At this point, they are basically useless for spell workings. Magicians and those born with spiritual and psychic gifts generate higher frequencies from their bodies, so a naturally skilled occultist will have a better chance at getting this working, although even the most adept of magicians will struggle with this spell. Those who have good chi reserves also have an advantage. Chi reserve basically means extra energy that your body doesn't need to keep you alive. I have quite low chi reserves, and if I attempted to do this without taking the proper precautions, it could kill me, because the energy that is required is colossal. If someone attempts this carelessly, they could pass out, fall ill. It's a very serious spell. There is also another danger as well. Even if the magician manages to get the spell working, if he or she breaks concentration, even if only for a microsecond, their high resonance levels will drop, and as they drop, they can get stuck in the wall, literally halfway, fused into the stone, and they will have to be broken out. In order to train this skill, the practitioner should not solely focus on walking through walls, but raising their resonance levels gradually over time. There are literally 100 different ways you can go about this. Diet, sleep, Tai Chi, deity-based spirit assistance, using talismans, controlled fasting, etc. One of the things I love about Taoism, you always have more than one way of achieving basically the same goal. You have many options at your disposal. One of the reasons why a practitioner should be careful with raising themselves is this: dangerously high frequencies can cause organ failure. So when your heart is vibrating at such a high level, if it happens too soon, it could cause health issues. Same with the brain. If you go from 10 Hz to 700 in a short space of time, you'll go completely insane from the stress. So over a period of many years, decades and decades, the magician will work carefully, doing different exercises to get it to raise over time. This is why anyone who dare call themselves a master of Taoism is usually an octogenarian at the very least, an old, wise, grey-haired master, or they have reincarnated several times to keep their knowledge from their past lives. The bottom line is, this is not something you can do overnight. A good, safe way to raise frequencies in the body is to practice daily Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, and pay close attention to acquiring more energy as opposed to using more energy. The whole point is to gather more than you need. Taoists will want a whole combination of Qi, energy, Jing, essence, and Shen, spirit. Remember 3 important things: mind, breath, and posture. One interesting thing that masters will say to you, just as you assimilate with the molecules of the wall, you will hear a very loud, high-pitched ringing noise. This is your resonance reaching amazing levels. Some masters say they hear the sound of cicadas. In Taoism, the adepts call this unusual sound 1,000 cicadas singing. It's so loud that it can actually hurt the ears. One sign that you may have a naturally high resonance: do you ever hear ringing in your ears seemingly for no reason? It happens to me quite randomly at least a couple of times a month, and according to some masters, this is a good sign. It can indicate that you are a naturally gifted magician. As you prepare to walk through the wall, you should have your back straight, head pointed upwards, face the solidity of the wall and imagine the bricks behind the paint. Then imagine the plaster holding the bricks together. Then imagine the plaster on a molecular level. Then progress to seeing the individual atoms one by one. Visualize them microscopically in your mind and see them separate from each other. As you do this, forget about the world around you. Nobody else should be in the room. You need to be alone with total concentration for this. Start to build up a vivid mental picture of the space in between space, an area of antimatter, dark matter. Some practitioners say it helps to imagine a black hole-like form vibrating at a slow frequency. Imagine the black hole in the wall. It starts off small like a tiny dot, and slowly it grows and grows, eventually big enough for you to enter it. This black hole will essentially become a corridor or a portal for you to walk through. You will need a highly trained imagination for this to work. You won't get it right on the first try, so don't worry. I personally think that when it comes to certain kinds of magic, especially high magic, one of the reasons why people fail with their spells is because they set very unrealistically high expectations for themselves, and when they fail, they get disinterested and they get low morale. So don't worry if you can't actually do this, because neither can I, so don't be hard on yourself there. It's around this time you should start to hear the cicada song, and it will get louder as you enter the black hole portal. From every text that I've read on the subject, it will hurt your ears. Once you enter, you will travel through, and if you can hold your concentration long enough and stand the discomfort of the high-pitched ringing, you will make it through to the other side. I'd be very careful choosing a wall. Make sure you know where it will lead you. Now, we live in a modern age of cameras. Everyone has a phone with a camera built into it. I'm sure you want to know if this spell is possible. How come we haven't seen anyone physically walk through a solid wall? I searched online and I found a source that says, because this spell is electromagnetic in origin, and if you try to record it with a camera whilst it is happening, it will destroy and interfere with the recording by creating pixelizations and glitches to the device. Now, some of you might think, and reasonably so, that sounds like a good, convenient excuse not to record it. But I know some of my exorcist friends, and when they try to record certain rites, they will have static interference. So maybe that is true. I know as a weather magician, it doesn't affect me one bit. You've all seen my many ritual videos, no strange glitches at all. But I appreciate the differences between weather magic and walking through walls. It's a completely different system. So that's what the traditional teachings tell us. Now here is what I personally think. Remember when I made my video on the Taoist invisibility spell, and I said I don't believe any spell can turn you physically invisible, but it could make it harder for you to be noticed. I believe you could go undetected. For example, if you're a criminal and you want to get away with a crime, I think you could, but it's nothing to do with actually being invisible. I think walking through walls is really a metaphor for overcoming extreme challenges. You often hear the expression, I've hit a brick wall, I've hit a dead end, I don't know how to progress because I'm stuck. I think in theory, this is just my opinion, I think you could use this magic as a tool. You could meditate and imagine the wall as the obstacle you are trying to overcome. Really use the wall as a meditational focus point and imagine yourself walking through it. The wall represents your struggle, your challenge. Walking through that wall is like overcoming a real world challenge. It may seem impossible, it may seem solid, but actually with a bit of imagination it isn't. What seems to be very difficult on the surface might actually not be so tough when you face it and conquer it. All walls can be broken. And what does a wall represent? A border, a perimeter. So getting rid of the walls in your own comfort zone is akin to saying to yourself, I am moving past my old boundaries. I'm escaping my comfort zone and I'm exploring parts of myself that I haven't actually found before. They always say life begins where your comfort zone ends. And maybe it's time for you to destroy your old wall and see what is beyond. And that's pretty much what I think about this spell. I see it as a potential way of self-improvement. Of course, if you go and ask an old master, an old Dao Shi, they would say it's 100% physical, which to them maybe it is. Just because I cannot do it at this time doesn't mean that nobody can. I do believe under the right circumstances, it could work. So thanks a lot for watching. Take care, and I'll be back soon.